let's talk Arsenal. Darmesh, they want to add a winger, is that right?
Well, listen, yesterday we told you on Sky Sports News that Kingsley Coman was the subject of a number of clubs' interest. Barcelona had inquired, but it's difficult for them to do a deal because of their finances. Al Hilal had actually made an offer, and a substantial offer as well, to Bayern Munich. And I said there was an unnamed Premier League club who made inquiries and explored the condition of a deal. And that club, we understand now, is Arsenal. It's understood they want to bring in a winger to provide more competition for the likes of Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka. And it's something they may act upon in the final hours of the transfer window. Kingsley Coman, for his part, wants to assess all of his options. Okay. Staying at Bayern Munich has not been ruled out. All
right, thanks for that, Darms. What about, stay with Arsenal, because we broke this exclusively yesterday, didn't we, Mark? I know you're on your phone, but you've got to listen to me as well.
I'm listening. I can do two things at once, but only when I'm sat at this desk.
Look, the goalkeeper, Aaron Ramsdale, what's needed to wrap this deal up with Southampton then?
Just official confirmation. Like you said, exclusive deal for Sky Sports News yesterday. It's a permanent move as well, where a lot of people were expecting it to be a loan. £18 million as guaranteed payments. £1 million if Southampton stay in the Premier League, and a further £6 million, making a total package of £25 million. Russell Martin's #1 target, Aaron Ramsdale. We know he's a top-class goalkeeper.
Yes,
started his medical this morning. We understand that's almost all completed, just waiting for official confirmation. But Russell Martin with a new goalkeeper.
Just picking up on that, Arsenal continue to work on recruiting a goalkeeper if and when, as we expect, Aaron Ramsdale's move to Southampton becomes official. It's understood Espanyol's Juan Garcia is someone they've shown an interest in. Wolves' Dan Bentley is someone that they had an interest in earlier on in this transfer window. Ideally, we think that Arsenal want to bring in at least one goalkeeper, and bringing in two keepers has not been ruled out, because remember, earlier in the transfer window, one of their goalkeepers, Karl Hein, he went to Real Valladolid on a season-long loan. OK, what about Eddie Nketiah then? Outgoings from Arsenal. Is he a Chelsea? Not a Chelsea, goodness me, sorry.
They're looking for a number 9, not that one. Crystal Palace finalising that deal now for Eddie Nketiah to join Crystal Palace. Now, a £25 million fee up front, £5 million in add-on, a really significant fee in terms of outgoing for Arsenal, but a really talented player for Crystal Palace to have. I'll be at their training ground tomorrow, finalising the paperwork now. Perhaps we'll have that announcement tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon perhaps, at the training ground, because they'll be desperate to register in time to feature this weekend, and they take on Chelsea, who are looking for number 9. They are.
That's why it's in my head. Right.
Arsenal went into the summer looking for a forward. Now, they would have wanted a number 9, but only for the right deal. In fact, it's a little bit like the Declan Rice situation, and also Liverpool with their midfielder. They only want precisely the player they want, and they don't want to waste money on someone that doesn't completely fit. So that's how they moved from a number 9 to a wide forward. They would have gone for Nico Williams, I think, but he wants to stay in Spain, ultimately wants to go to Barcelona. But allied to all that, they are conscious of, after this international break, Arsenal are basically going to have a match every 3 days up until Christmas, I think it is. And that means a lot of football for Bukayo Saka amid this wider concern about how much players are overworked. So I think they would prefer to sign a backup for Saka now, or someone, that kind of Leandro Trossard style signing. Sterling does fit into that. Arteta really likes him from their time together at Manchester City, thinks he's got the right personality, obviously knows how they would play as well. They've also been offered Kingsley Coman from Bayern Munich. But as Riyad talked about there's still a lot of complications to the Sterling deal because of a situation at Chelsea. I think that would need to be resolved before Arsenal move. I don't think Arsenal want to pay any sort of fee, and Sterling might even have to half his wages. And again, on top of all that, I think Arsenal are also conscious of the fact that, given how this window has been quite backlogged, it's not been a very active market because more clubs want to sell than want to buy, or clubs need to sell before they buy. I think Arsenal are going to wait and see, does anything present itself on a final day and whether they can get a better deal. As someone said to me today, we're now at a point of the window where deals that would have been 50 million 3 weeks ago, you can do them for much cheaper. And just an example of that, Brentford's price for Ivan Toney has basically dropped from 60 million to 35 million. Now, I know there were rumours today about Arsenal and Toney. I haven't heard anything on that. I think they would rather just do a wide forward, and they'll see what happens on the day. But Sterling is an option, but there is a lot to get done for that to be completed in time for tomorrow night. So it still feels maybe less than 50-50.
As the Mikel Merino deal, like the Emile Smith-Rowe money, covered the Calafiori deal. And that's how things are working at Arsenal at the moment. And I'm impressed by their transfer activity and their diligence around the finances to keep themselves in good shape with PSR for the Premier League, FFP for the UEFA competition, Champions League, and people might not like it because there's this thirst to spend, but they've got to operate within their means, and so it would take somebody else to leave to. It doesn't have to be before the deal, although we're at deadline day now anyway, so it's all in unison. But that it would take, say, a Reece Nelson to leave to make sure Arsenal have the right finances. I'm not saying that they have to do it for the financial reasons. It's what they've chosen to do to remain in the strong, healthy position that they are. And so, conversations I've had have suggested it, in whatever order and chronology, it would need a departure, such as a Reece Nelson, for them to, say, spend money on a wide player. I don't know of a centre forward being targeted. Some have been offered to them, and it's been pushed back on that's not what they're looking to do. So clearly the plans are to go with Kai Havertz and Gabriel Jesus, and you can use Leandro Trossard there if needed, and you've got great wide attackers. But there's been this constant search for competition to the Sakas and Martinellis of this world in those wide positions. And names always floating around, and the latest being reported by our colleague Sami Mokbel of the Daily Mail is Kingsley Coman. That Arsenal have considered it. My information is that that's not one that's developing as things stand. Let's see if that changes in the course of these last 24, 48 hours. We know they love Nico Williams of Athletic Bilbao. He would be Mikel Arteta's top choice, I think, by a mile if they were going to recruit a wide player. But he's already on a massive contract. It would need to be an even bigger contract if he joins another club. There's a release clause that needs to be paid in full. And he seems very happy where he is at the moment. If he was to leave, it seems Barcelona is his first choice. So it's not PlayStation and Football Manager where you can just pick someone up, choose who it is, and on we go. And so if the market closes with Arsenal sticking with what they've got, I think they'll be perfectly happy with that. And I do think they'll be competitive for major honours again this season. If they manage to add before the deadline, then I'm sure the Emirates faithful will be very excited.
Raheem Sterling is able to find a way for this move to go ahead. It looks like he's going to have to take a cut on his wages to force it through, but he needs to be playing football. He's 29 years old. There's yet another England squad that's come out today which doesn't feature Raheem Sterling. It's plainly obvious to everyone he needs to get moving in his career again. He needs to go somewhere he's wanted. He's got a good relationship with Arteta from the time at Man City. So let's see how that plays out. I do just to reiterate, I want that to happen. We all love watching Raheem Sterling play when he's at his best. He's had a miserable time at Chelsea. I think we can all be quite blunt about that. Does it reflect on Chelsea? I think that ship sailed a while ago. It's a chaotic club. We'll give Maresca plenty of time to show how he can kind of navigate the environment that he finds there. I'm not necessarily convinced that he's handled this particular transfer scenario in the most sensible manner publicly. I think sort of describing him as an important player, then downgrading it to he's not going to get any minutes here. I find that all a little bit unnecessary to play out in public, much as it does make for very good copy. But my primary thought here is it's time for Raheem Sterling to get going again.
With Arsenal, then, it doesn't look as though a striker is incoming, that there's an injury concern over Gabriel Jesus. Eddie Nketiah is on his way to Crystal Palace. Are you comfortable that Arsenal could head from September to January with what they've got at the moment?
Only time will tell there, Rob. I mean, with Havertz, if he went and got injured, and then they'd be really right up against it. I think it's the same with Man City, really. I mean, they'd end up having to play a false nine. I think you can get away with a false nine for 2 or 3 or 4 games, but you wouldn't want to do it for 2 months. So I think Arsenal would have to bring someone in. I think so. It depends how bad Jesus' injury is. But it's hard now, with the fair play rules. And You know, if you're a top player and you want to come to Arsenal, you might not even be playing. So, you know, players want to play football. So it'll be a hard one. But everything Arsenal have done so far with Edu and Arteta, they work together. They sing off the same hymn sheet. So, you know, you got, as an Arsenal fan, you would have to keep faith in them too, and they haven't let them down so far.
Yeah, you mentioned the role of Edu there, Mikel Arteta, and I guess that's the key thing, that maybe they do need another striker up front, but there's no point just going out tomorrow and signing anyone and wasting a load of money on it.
100%, and that's where they'd be talking to each other for the last 2-3 weeks about this and weighing it all up. So I don't see Arsenal being you know, with them two, the way they work together, I don't see it as a panic job where they just go, oh, let's go and buy so he's free. We're going to buy him for 30, 40, 50 million. I don't see that with Arsenal. I don't see that at all.
Let's talk about one player who looks to be leaving then, Aaron Ramsdale, who's having his medical with Southampton. It just feels a good deal for the player himself that he needs game time, doesn't he? Particularly if he still wants to be an England squad member.
Oh, 100%. And, you know, it's a great move for him. Southampton, a Premier League team now. You know, it's hard for goalkeepers. You know, there's only one position. So, you know, it's hard to get in at somewhere. So he's going to go in. He's going to be playing in the Premier League, which is great. He's a good goalkeeper. He's a great lad. And I wish him all the best. He's going to be busy, which sometimes you want that as a goalkeeper. He will be busy at Southampton. And, you know, who knows? He'll be looking to take the #1 spot at England. It's a fresh start, new manager at England. And now he's got an opportunity to play in the Premier League and then become England #1.
Eddie Nketiah is on his way to Crystal Palace for 25 million, rising to 30 million. Jules, does this mean that Arsenal's reserve centre forwards are Gabriel Jesus and Gabriel Martinelli? When Martinelli's not doing his day job of playing down out in the wing?
No, I mean, you can play Trossard as well as a number
another
9.
winger, yeah.
Yeah, but as a different option, I guess. But yeah, I think the Nketiah transfer pays for the Merino's arrival, basically. This is what it is. They would not have been able to get Merino without letting someone go, unfortunately. And for Nketiah, I think this is a player who went through the academy. And as we know, in terms of PSR, it's straight in your books, straight in your accounts. This is good. There might be more leaving as well before the end of the season, the end of the transfer window, sorry. And then I think that would be a good window from an Arsenal point of view. So unfortunately, Nketiah has to go. And then for Crystal Palace is another option for Glasner with Mateta and with Toney. Juventus beat Verona.
Sorry, Jules, let me finish here because I'm going to disagree with you on Nketiah. Sorry, I know you're trying to shut me up.
No, sorry, I didn't hear you talking.
Just kidding. I'm not convinced here just for one simple reason. And, you know, like you, I'm not a big Eddie Nketiah guy. But he played a lot last season. I think he started 10 league games, just going from memory, made a lot of appearances. He ate up a lot of minutes, often, you know, in the second part of the season, coming off the bench. I do wonder, you know, you've covered all your bases. You've covered most positions. I do wonder if they maybe needed to do another move, or maybe are still plotting some move, even some sort of low-cost move, for the simple reason that Gabriel Jesus at center forward, I don't think satisfies anybody, and he has a lot of injuries. If you can move Trossard there, but then Trossard's your backup in several other positions, you don't want to have a situation where a couple injuries to key men really derail your season. And it happened at the back a few years ago when Saliba got injured. That is my big concern. So I'm wondering if he might not have something up his sleeve in the final hours of the transfer window. A loan, something like that. I don't know. Just speculating. Not Osimhen, somebody else. I'll tell you what on Coman. I mean, obviously the market in Saudi is open longer, so he doesn't need to be in a rush. But why doesn't he come to Arsenal on loan and he can back up Kai Havertz and give you a different dimension? He can play center forward. He's done it before, right?
I don't remember him playing center forward.
Oh, he did it at Juve. It's not
really. It's
not that different. Yes, he's done it. Not particularly well, but
I prefer Gabriel Jesus as a 9 than Kingsley Coman as a 9.
All right. Okay. All right.
But I think there's a few clubs who could do with somebody like him. It's just, it's a bit late now to try to make that whatever move happen, really.
What is done, Jules, is Mika Merino to Arsenal. On Monday, Rob and I disagreed somewhat about how Arteta will use him. I saw him as more in a playmaking role. He sees Declan Rice sitting in front of the back four, perhaps, and Merino more on the left-hand side. What's your prediction? Who's right?
I think he's going to play as a number 8 on the left-hand side with Odegaard on the right and Rice behind him. That's the idea. That's why they signed him. He can do different things, as you're right. And I think that versatility to play higher up on the pitch, maybe more as a playmaker, to play even on Odegaard's side or even deeper, was also part of the appeal. But for 32 million euros, a player of his caliber, attitude, the work ethic, obviously winning the Euros with Spain can't do any harm in the summer. Champions League experience with Real Sociedad, not much, but still enough there to for him not to be discovering it with Arsenal. I think he's a really smart signing. And he famously had some photos when he was a kid with Arsenal shirt on that they obviously kind of reproduced now that he's older, now he's signed for the club, to say that he was always a fan. I don't know if he was always a fan, but I like the fact that he was super keen to come to England, to come to Arsenal. And I think he's going to add value and talent to this team, which in that position kind of needed somebody since Xhaka left the club. So it makes a lot of sense, this signing, from everywhere you look at it.
And he's played in England before as well, which I think
of course
also
he speaks very good English too. So,
Mikel Arteta is an admirer of Sterling from their days at Manchester City, but the winger would need to settle his contract issues with Chelsea. Arsenal are weighing up moves for Chelsea's Raheem Sterling or Bayern Munich's Kingsley Coman, having been approached about both in the final 2 days of the transfer window. Sterling, who has been told he will not play under manager Enzo Maresca, would be keen on the move, but any deal would require Chelsea settling part of his contract and wages. Mikel Arteta wants an explosive player to give Arsenal more options in attack, but the top target of Nico Williams wants to stay in Spain to achieve his long-term ambition of eventually joining Barcelona. The London club are consequently only willing to go for one of their secondary options on a much lower budget, in the mold of Leandro Trossard's signing. The primary concern to have a player that can ease the burden on Bukayo Saka, as Arteta is acutely conscious of overplaying his star in a packed calendar and a schedule that is going to see a game every 3 days once this international break is over. Arteta does have a strong relationship with Sterling from their time together at Manchester City, when the Basque was assistant to Pep Guardiola. Although there have been questions over whether the 29-year-old can be as explosive as he used to be, Arteta likes his personality and feels he could be a good influence on the squad, especially with his winning record. Sterling also has an understanding of Arsenal's tactical approach, given its similarity to City's. The club are unwilling to pay a fee for Sterling, though, which is why any deal could be complicated and require the player to settle his contract issues with Chelsea. He is understood to be on $325,000 a week at Stamford Bridge, and Arsenal would be unlikely to go above $150,000. Sterling would have to accept fitting into their wage structure. Manchester United have similarly been in talks with Chelsea over Sterling, with new sporting director Dan Ashworth also an admirer from his time with the Football Association. Any deal is seen as a long shot, though. Coman has, meanwhile, been offered around the major European clubs for weeks, as Bayern Munich attempt to trim their wage bill. Arsenal have been weighing up a deal, but there is a feeling that the market could open up in the final hours due to the number of big clubs who want to sell. There is a belief that this could bring bargains that would not have been possible even a few weeks ago. Arsenal have submitted an offer for Espanyol goalkeeper Joan Garcia, with Aaron Ramsdale closing in on a move to Southampton. The Gunners are eager to get a deal for the highly rated Spain under-21 international over the line, with Ramsdale poised to end his 3-year stay in North London. The England international lost his place in Mikel Arteta's starting 11 last season following the arrival of David Raya from Brentford, making just 6 further appearances after losing his place in the side in early September. Ramsdale is now set to join Southampton, who have agreed a £25 million deal, including add-ons for the former Bournemouth shot-stopper. He is set to undergo a medical today, with Saints to pay an initial $18 million. With that deal almost done, Arsenal have now submitted a $20 million offer for Garcia, Fabrizio Romano reports. The Gunners may have to dig a bit deeper, however, with Espanyol asking for his $30 million release clause to be met. Garcia is thought to have already agreed personal terms with Arsenal and is eager to make the move to North London. The 23-year-old was part of the Spain squad that won gold at the Paris Olympics and is viewed as a future star by Gunners staff. He is a very good goalkeeper. I am calm when he plays, Gonzalez said this week. I don't know about the transfer market, although I hope he doesn't leave. What the club tells me is that he should not leave unless a club comes and nothing can be done. He is a great goalkeeper, but the level of the goalkeepers I have is very high. Garcia would be Arsenal's fourth permanent signing of the summer. In addition to Reyes' permanent move from Brentford, the club have also brought in Ricardo Calafiori and Mikel Merino from Bologna and Real Sociedad, respectively. Arsenal are in advanced talks to sign AFC Bournemouth goalkeeper Neto on loan as a replacement for Aaron Ramsdale, according to reports. The Gunners are keen to recruit a new number 2 as backup for their main keeper David Raya after agreeing a $25 million deal to sell Ramsdale to Southampton. Espanyol keeper Joan Garcia remains the preferred option for the North Londoners, but the Cherries' Brazilian star Neto could be a much quicker fix, with the Athletic reporting that Arsenal have hit an impasse over Garcia talks. The move for Neto is likely to get the go-ahead, given that Bournemouth recently signed Kepa Arrizabalaga on loan from Chelsea and currently have 3 keepers. Kepa will replace Neto as Bournemouth's new number 1 choice, and with talented Irishman Mark Travers also in their ranks, they are now likely to let Neto depart. Bournemouth signed Brazil international Neto from Barcelona in 2022, but it looks like the 35-year-old may now be swapping the South Coast for North London. The move is likely to move at a quick pace, with Arsenal desperate to bring in a replacement before they sign the paperwork to allow Ramsdale to leave. The only gaps in Arsenal's squad appear to in the final third, with doubts persisting over Kai Havertz's ability to lead the line for a title-winning side, and Bukayo Saka in need of support on the right flank. That is the position Arsenal could yet look to strengthen before the deadline, though signing a new winger would be dependent on sales. If Arsenal do decide to sign a new striker, as has been suggested by several pundits, Toney is a player who has been touted as a possible target. Speaking after Arsenal's opening Premier League win over Wolves, Mikel Arteta suggested the club would not be signing a new frontman this summer, though the Spaniard's stance appeared to change after Gabriel Jesus' recent injury. Arsenal are planning a shock-late move for Brentford striker Ivan Toney, sources have told Football Insider. Now, it has emerged that the forward could be the subject of a shock-late offer from one of the Premier League's biggest clubs. As reported by Football Insider, Arsenal are plotting a sensational late move for the England international. The forward hasn't been involved in either of the Bees' 2 Premier League games so far this season, and also played no part in their win over Colchester United in the Carabao Cup on Tuesday. It is claimed that the Gunners have been interested in the 28-year-old for some time now and are readying a bid with the window reaching its closing stages. Their decision to move for Toney comes after current Arsenal striker Eddie Nketiah agreed a $25 million move to London rivals Crystal Palace, which will free up space in the squad for a new striker. Toney has scored 72 times in 141 games for Brentford since signing from Peterborough United 4 years ago, but he is now in the final 12 months of his contract. He has been linked with a move away from the club all summer, though, and West London rivals Chelsea are said to have made a move to sign the player in the past week or so. Saudi Arabian Pro League outfit Al Ahly have made bids for the striker this summer, but late interest from 2 of the Premier League's biggest sides could spark a bidding war and earn Brentford a decent fee. Arsenal are seemingly in the frame to sign Raheem Sterling ahead of the transfer deadline, but Mikel Arteta shot down suggestions he would sign the winger this week. Arsenal are said to be weighing up a deadline day swoop for Raheem Sterling, just days after Mikel Arteta